Okay, so we've all heard that saying, right? If you do not love yourself, you will be unable to love anyone else.
Mhm.
It sounds, so right, so profound. But honestly, for a lot of people, myself included sometimes, it just raises more questions. Like, how? What does that even mean, really?
Yeah, that confusion is, well, it's really common. And our sources get into why that is. It's kind of surprising, but the thing is, we're not just born knowing how to love ourselves or others for that matter.
We're not.
No, it's something that's, well, it's socialized. Many of us grow up taking in these messages, maybe feeling unworthy, not because we are, but because, things around us, people around us, taught us to see ourselves like that.
Uh,
But what we are born with is the ability to respond to care. Like from day one, we're wired for that connection. So whether we learn self-love really depends on whether we grew up in a loving environment or, didn't.
wow, okay. That completely changes how you look at that saying. It's not just some simple feel-good idea.
Not at all.
It's like a skill you have to develop. So that's our mission for this deep dive then. We want to unpack what self-love actually is, how you get there, and why understanding it is just so fundamental for, well, for every other kind of love in your life. We're going to pull from our sources to give you some real insights, some concrete ideas.
Exactly. And the first thing to grasp, I think, is that self-love isn't something you achieve in isolation. Our sources say it's no easy task.
Right.
And honestly, those simple little sayings, they can almost backfire. They make it sound easy. And then if you're struggling, you feel worse, right? Like, why can't I just do this simple thing? It can feed into self-hatred or low self-esteem.
Yeah, I can see that. So it takes real work.
Deliberate effort, yeah.
Okay, so maybe we need a better definition of love itself. Our sources offer one. Love is an action, something you do for your own spiritual growth or someone else's.
Mm-hmm.
And when you think of it like that, is this mix of things: trust, commitment, care, respect, knowledge, responsibility. Suddenly you've got a kind of roadmap.
Exactly. A blueprint, not just for loving other people, but for actively building those things inside yourself.
Towards yourself.
Yes. And M. Scott Peck adds something really crucial here. He argues that the absolute foundation, the bedrock of real love, isn't like big romantic gestures.
No. What is it then?
It's the commitment to truth-telling, even when it's uncomfortable.
Ah, honesty.
Radical honesty, yeah. That's what fosters spiritual growth, according to the sources. It creates the openness, the kind of constancy you need to really see and accept yourself. And that's the starting point for self-love.
Okay, so love is action, truth-telling is key.
Mm-hmm.
Where do people usually start on this journey then? Especially if they're grappling with feeling, not good enough or stupid or something.
Well, a really common approach is looking back, right? Examining the past, childhood, trying to figure out where those messages came from.
And that makes sense. You need to understand the roots.
Absolutely. There's definitely value in that. But the sources offer a pretty important warning here. Just figuring out how you gauge those feelings of worthlessness, that usually doesn't change things much on its own.
Really, just understanding isn't enough.
Often, no. It's just one stage. And the risk is it's far too easy to stay stuck there.
Yeah.
Just telling the story over and over.
Reliving it.
Yeah. And that can become a way of just holding on to the grief or, blaming others without moving forward. It doesn't actually empower you.
Okay, so what's the alternative? Or the next step?
The next stage is about actively bringing in constructive, life-affirming ways of thinking and behaving, building new patterns.
Right, moving forward.
And what's really interesting is our sources say, even if you don't have clear memories of, say, specific abuse or negative messages, you can still do this work. You can still do self-recovery.
Wow.
By consciously choosing to affirm your own self-worth now, building forward,
Well,
even without having all the pieces of the past.
okay, that's hopeful. So how do we actively build that self-worth?
Well, this is where Nathaniel Branden's work is really helpful. He talks about the 6 pillars of self-esteem.
The 6 pillars. Okay.
Yeah, and they're not just ideas, they're practices, things you actively do. Living consciously, self-acceptance, self-responsibility, self-assertiveness, living purposefully, and personal integrity. Our sources really dig into a few of these.
Okay, let's break them down. Start with living consciously. What does that pillar involve?
It's more than just like self-awareness. It's about really thinking critically about yourself, about the world, daring to ask the tough questions: who, what, when, where, why.
Going deeper.
Yes, seeking awareness about everything that affects your actions, your goals, your values. What assumptions are you making? What are you maybe not seeing?
Sounds intense.
It is, but it's through that kind of critical reflection that people find the strength to make a choice.
What choice?
The choice to stop listening to those negative voices, the ones inside your head and the ones coming from outside that are always putting you down.
So it's like taking back control of the narrative.
Exactly. It's an act of growth, really.
Okay, pillar 2, self-acceptance. This one feels like a big hurdle for a lot of people, that inner critic.
Oh, definitely. That voice inside that's always judging. We somehow learn to think that being negative about ourselves is more, I don't know, realistic.
Yeah, or more humble or something.
Right. But the source material pushes back hard on that. It says negative thinking is absolutely disenabling. It just doesn't help.
So what does help?
Well, this is where affirmations come in, surprisingly, perhaps.
Affirmations like, I am strong, I am worthy.
Yeah, those kinds of things. The author admits finding them a bit corny at first.
I think a lot of people feel that way.
Totally. But she actually tried them. Things like, I'm breaking with old patterns and moving forward with my life. And she found they gave her this tremendous energy boost. They helped restore balance.
Interesting. So they're not just empty words.
Apparently not. They seem to work as tools, to actually disrupt those old negative thought loops. And the idea is when you start thinking more positively about yourself, you genuinely accept yourself more. And then you're actually better able to accept other people too.
Because you're coming from a place of fullness, not judgment.
Exactly. Sufficiency, not lack.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Let's move to self-responsibility. Brandon defines this as taking ownership for your actions, goals, life, well-being. The whole shebang.
Yeah, the whole shebang. But it's really important to get this one right.
How so?
It does not mean pretending that things like racism or sexism or homophobia don't exist. Those institutional barriers are absolutely real.
Okay, good clarification. So it's not victim blaming.
No, not at all. It's about recognizing that even when those barriers exist, we still have the capacity to invent our lives. We can still shape our destiny to maximize our well-being within those constraints.
Agency within the struggle.
Yes. The source gives an example of a woman. Her husband didn't support her going back to school for an advanced degree. But she took responsibility for her own need for growth, believing it would ultimately help her family too.
And did it.
Yes. Going back to work boosted her self-esteem massively, and in the end, everyone benefited. It's about finding your power where you can.
Powerful story. Okay, that leads nicely into self-assertiveness.
Yeah.
Which is about what exactly?
It's the willingness to stand up for myself, to be who I am openly, to treat myself with respect in all human encounters.
Standing your ground, being authentic.
Mm-hmm. And the source points out how childhood shaming can teach us the opposite, like be passive, don't make waves, avoid conflict.
Yeah, be nice.
Right. And there's often a gender dynamic here, too.
How so?
Well, sexist socialization often teaches girls and women that being assertive is somehow unfeminine or threatening. The author mentions her brother being praised for asserting his opinions that was seen as manly good.
But for her and her sisters?
It was framed as negative, undesirable. She points to the feminist movement and people like Gloria Steinem as being really key in helping women reclaim that power of positive self-assertiveness.
And the danger of not having it.
Steinem warned that even achieving success, if you don't have that core self-love and assertiveness, can lead to self-sabotage or just this feeling of private desperation behind the scenes.
Wow. That connects maybe to why women sometimes use gossip as like an indirect way to express things.
Exactly. The source suggests it can be a symptom of having created a false self, one designed to please others instead of cultivating an authentic self through genuine self-esteem and assertiveness.
Fascinating. Okay, and briefly, the last pillar it mentioned is living purposefully.
Right, the sixth element.
Yeah.
This is about consciously setting goals, figuring out the steps to reach them, making sure your actions actually align with those goals, and then crucially, paying attention to the results. Are you actually moving towards your purpose?
It's about being intentional with your life's direction.
Yeah, very much so.
So these pillars provide a great framework. How does this translate into everyday life, like work?
Work, yes. The sources are pretty blunt here. Doing work we hate assaults our self-esteem and self-confidence.
Oof. Yeah, that resonates. Spending 40 hours a week doing something soul-crushing.
It chips away at you, which leads to this idea of right livelihood. It's a Buddhist concept.
Livelihood.
Yeah, basically work that actually enhances your spiritual well-being, strengthens your capacity to love.
Like Marcia Senatar's book, Do What You Love, The Money Will Follow.
Exactly that one. Though our source adds a very practical note of caution.
Which is?
That the money will not always follow.
Huh. Good point. Reality check.
Yeah. The author shares her own story. She worked as a cook, hated the noise, the smoke, hated the job itself,
Okay.
but she used that job because it gave her the time she needed during the day to write, which is the work she truly loved.
Ah, so the disliked job enabled the loved work.
Precisely. Sometimes self-love in work means strategically using a less than ideal job to support your deeper purpose.
That's a really useful perspective. It's not always about finding the perfect job.
No, and the impact goes beyond the individual. The sources even link deep unhappiness at work, that feeling of being assaulted by your job, to things like domestic violence.
Seriously, that's heavy.
It is. It underscores why it's so important to support people we care about if they're trapped in work that's destroying their well-being. And interestingly, people outside the paid workforce, like homemakers, can sometimes teach us about finding joy in self-determination, finding the right livelihood in activities outside a traditional career path.
So it really comes down to how you approach what you do.
Yes, it's not what you do, but how you do it. When we work with love, we renew the spirit, and that renewal is self-love. It fuels growth.
Like Susan Lyden, seeing knitting not just as woman's work, but as a path to finding something deeper, creating domestic bliss.
Exactly, and that idea of domestic bliss isn't trivial. It's especially powerful for people learning self-love, maybe if they live alone, creating a home environment that actually nurtures you.
How did the author do that?
She gives these wonderful examples. Her city apartment became love's meeting place, a sanctuary filled only with things she truly loved. Her country place she called Soledad Hermosa, beautiful solitude designed for quiet, for renewal.
Wow. So consciously shaping your physical space as an act of self-care.
As an act of self-love. Yeah, it's powerful.
Okay, this is all incredibly insightful, but let's tackle the elephant in the room. The big misconception.
Ah, yes, the narcissism thing.
Right. The fear that focusing on self-love is just selfish or narcissistic.
Mm.
Our sources say we need to rid ourselves of misguided notions about self-love. Why is that idea so misguided?
It's misguided because it gets things completely backward. Self-love isn't the opposite of loving others. It's the foundation for it.
The foundation.
Absolutely. Without it, the sources argue our attempts to love others will eventually fail. Think about it. Love from other people is always necessarily conditional, right? We can't control how they feel or act.
True, it can change.
But we can control our own actions towards ourselves. We can choose to give ourselves the unconditional love, the acceptance, the affirmation, and that becomes the solid ground we stand on.
So you're not desperately seeking it from outside.
Exactly. You can then reach out to others from a place of fullness, of sufficiency, not from neediness. It's actually a form of self-sufficiency that enables healthier connection.
The author had a really striking personal example of this, didn't she? About her body image.
Oh, yes. Very powerful. She talks about feeling lousy about my over 40 body, thinking she was too fat, too this or too that.
Relatable for many, I imagine.
For sure. And she found herself fantasizing about some ideal lover who would just accept her, flaws and all.
The dream scenario.
Right. And then she had this realization. She called it silly but profound. She realized she was dreaming of someone else offering to me the acceptance and affirmation I was withholding from myself.
Whoa, that hits home. Waiting for someone else to give you what you won't give yourself.
Exactly. It just perfectly flips that original maxim on its head, or rather adds to it. You can never love anybody if you are unable to love yourself, yes, but also do not expect to receive the love from someone else you do not give yourself.
Oof, that's a challenge.
It is. It's an invitation, really, to become the source of the love you seek.
But amidst all this challenge, there's a real thread of hope in the material too, isn't there?
Oh, absolutely. The message is clear. Even if you didn't learn self-love growing up, even if things feel really difficult now, the light of love is always in us.
Always.
Always. No matter how cold the flame, it is always present, waiting for the spark to ignite, waiting for the heart to awaken.
That's beautiful.
It is. So wrapping up this deep dive, it's pretty clear self-love isn't just a nice feeling to have sometimes.
That's work.
It's work. It's an active, ongoing commitment to your own spiritual growth, and it touches everything: relationships, work, home. It's a journey, like we said, not a place you just arrive at.
So the big question for you listening is, what does it really mean for you? For you to start giving yourself that unconditional love, the kind you've maybe always hoped to get from someone else. How could doing that actually change things, not just for you, but in how you show up in the world?
And maybe just think about one small thing, one tangible step you could take, starting today. Could be trying an affirmation, even if it feels corny at first, Or picking one area, maybe self-responsibility, maybe self-assertiveness, where you could try to embody it just a little bit more.
Just one small step. Because remember, that light of love, it's already inside you. It's just waiting for that spark.